What's going on, world? It's your boy Kuya P. This is the NRW Nerds Rule the World, here for another amazing interview. Today, I'm super excited. If you've been following the channel, y'all know how I feel about family, about representation. And in the past year and a half, I've been going through it with the tales of my search into my ancestry and my heritage and my parents and my father. There's a lot of layers, and I know a lot of people have been trying to go through those cracks to find out what's going on. There'll be more to come on that because I'll probably be doing a documentary similar to this brother that you see on the channel right now, who's actually inspired me even more with this work. I have, as you see on the screen, let me go ahead and introduce the brother, Tadashi Nakamura, whose film Third Act is playing at the Sundance 2025 Film Festival. Just super dope. It is enlightening, inspiring, and just so freaking beautiful. Thank you so much, Tad, for your time. And may I call you Tad? I know you go by Tad.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, no. My whole family calls me Tad. All the homies call me Tad. So yeah, for sure.
Word. I appreciate you. Dude, this film, amazing. I know initially you set out to do something completely different because your father is a living legend in the game for all of us Asian American filmmakers, creatives. He created the blueprint, man, and inspired future generation through his work. There in the Bay Area. You're a director of one of his art centers, I know. Just everything and your collaborations with him. But yeah, just with everything that he's all about, you set out to do a documentary about him and his work, but it became something wholly different and personal and important, that I think is going to just touch so many and so relatable to so many. Um, can we start there when you? I feel like I know you in a lot of different ways because I had the
Yeah,
blessing of checking out the documentary, and
thanks.
I feel like I know you, dude. Like, I was like, my man's wearing beat rock shirts, hoodies, and all this different stuff. He's into hip hop. Like, this is me, except West Coast. And
Yeah,
I know you and your experience, uh, being under the shadow of your pops, finding your own destiny, and then and then you eventually started working with him, and then this germ of an idea to start putting this documentary together. If we could start there.
yeah. Yeah. I think because growing up, I always knew my dad was, growing up, everyone refers to him as the Godfather of Asian American media, and I was very proud of that. That's something that I was always proud of. And as we worked together more and more, for me, it was, well, if my pops is the Godfather, then what does that make me, right? And I always wanted to be his right hand man, and so I became very protective over his legacy, his reputation, because I think a lot of people, specifically Japanese Americans, don't like to brag that much, right? So my dad, is pretty humble, and I felt like I was the one that was gonna do the bragging for him. And so, I really just wanted people to know his legacy, what he's done. And as I started, I've always knew I wanted to make the film, but honestly, I never thought I was ready yet. I always knew this film, if I was going to make a film on my dad, in my mind, it had to be the best film I had ever made. And I just felt like I wasn't at that level yet. And I probably would feel like I'm never at that level. But it wasn't until, after he retired, he started slowing down. And I think like everyone, who are either fortunate to have their parents around still, or there was a certain point where you saw your parents slowing down, or even you saw your grandparents slowing down, or you saw someone pass away, very, in a horrific way, in a very tragic way. And so that time of to get their story down, to really sit them down. And for my dad, it, once he started slowing down, I knew that it was kind of now or never. And this was before he got diagnosed with Parkinson's. So, um, but as we kept on going, it became this really special moment where we were able to talk to each other very honest. I think on one hand, there's this pressure of making the film. Another hand, there was this clicking, ticking clock with his Parkinson's. So that really forced us to be a lot more open than we would normally. Because I think like most Asian American males, we're not really good with articulating our emotions, especially to our parents or to our kids. And I think all those things combined really gave me a special opportunity to tell my dad's story, as well as learn a lot about myself as well.
I love that, man, and I'm so happy, and I'll speak for the rest of the audience eventually that I know will see this film. That we're so thankful for you, your entire family, and yourself included, though, to get that bond going with your pops, to just share of yourselves, because it's going to touch so many and it's so relatable to so many. So thank you, man. So obviously in a lot of ways it's hard to pre-pro a lot of this, so it's just about, I would assume, when it's also so personal, to just start recording, and then kind
Hmm.
of you'll figure out the foundation and the how the layout will be eventually, right? And from what I understood, you were going to target kind of like his film background, and then it became more so the journey of him living with this, and then I guess to make those moments of your son, which I also found so beautiful, and then learning about your grandfather, dude. Just your whole family is insanely talented and beautiful, man. To just have
Thank
all
you.
those intersections work, to me, just my heart, bro. I'm an empath, and like other male Asians out there, I know how it is. We try to keep it in, but as I had a child, and I'm sure like you, me keeping my heart in the closet anymore was not going to happen. I cry all the time. It's all of
No,
these
yeah.
things, right?
Once you have a kid, it pushes that button, and that button can't be unpushed. So as soon as I had a kid, I would catch myself, crying in the middle of Sports Center, randomly, or a commercial, right, will get you choked up. But yeah, and I think definitely as a parent, it made me appreciate and look at my parents differently. And like you said, I did at first want to tell a story about all my dad's accolades, all his achievements. But really, what I realized and what other people told me is any filmmaker can make that film. But what film can you, as his son, as his right hand man, as his mentee, what can you make that you could only make? And so that's why we really leaned into the father and son, and really the uniqueness of our relationship in terms of um, him being a filmmaker, me being a filmmaker, and that legacy that I strive to continue.
Absolutely. And again, absolutely beautiful. So you make this personal project, you're making it happen. And I will say, you're right. And your friends are right. Everybody else can make that. And I actually do still want to see that at some point, because your father's a
Yeah.
legend. But I think this means so much more. And only you and your father could have done this. So, so thankful for this. So we're doing this personal project. Hey, mom, uh, I need you to speak on this. And those moments are just so touching, and also hilarious when your father tried to come down on the stairs. But bringing her involved, getting the rest of the family involved, and your son involved, just and going to the pilgrimage spots and seeing these things that we see throughout the rest of the film. What was that like in planning and making happen? But also just the progression of seeing kind of some of the decline a little bit of your father.
Mhm.
Oh, just fucks me up. Excuse my language.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think I think the good thing is that because I'm coming from a filmmaking family, once we decided, once I told my mom I was going to make this film and it was going to incorporate, her and the whole family, they were familiar. They know what that meant. They knew that the camera would be on. They knew that, potentially a lot of our intimate moments that are usually just within the family will be on the big screen. But my mom, is just as proud and protective of my dad's legacy as well. So, just like me, she felt that my dad's story needs to be told, and so she was fully on board. And then, I think with my son, that's something that for sure I did not think about. But at the same time, one of the main inspiration for this film was my dad's film that he did on my Ji-chan, his dad, my grandfather. And so as a grandson, that gave me, it was like time traveling the first time I saw that film. Because I saw my dad, my Ji-chan, as, this old man, barely spoke English. Basically, he would listen to the Dodger games and give me ice cream. That was him to me. And so when I first saw What's Haridori, I saw him as a judo master. I saw him, with his guns out, that was just it was I was able to I felt like I could be with him at a time when I wasn't even born yet. So when I had kids myself, that put another layer of, well, this could be a gift to them the way my dad gifted the film on my grandfather to me.
And it's going to be an even greater gift for your son as he gets older and the rest of the family. It's going to be just a gift for everyone, but I know so very personal for you and your family. So you've now formalized kind of like the structure of this, but as you're doing this, I'm sure you're diving and learning more about this your father. You know certain things, I'm sure, but then certain things come to the past that you find out. Was there anything because of the narrative now that didn't make the cuts that you learned that just maybe laughingly interesting, or just certain segments that that you shared with the rest of the family as you're interacting with your father, and just all coming together as one to put this together.
Yeah, I mean, because we it took 7 years to make this film, and so when you're filming with your family, you could technically shoot anything and everything. So on one hand, a lot of the footage that we didn't use, we have very high quality home movies now. We got Thanksgiving and Christmas very well documented. But I think for me it was my favorite part that did make it into the film are those conversations of me and my dad just driving to the UCLA football games. Again, I think while me and my dad are very close, we're not the type to sit across from each other, and he won't put his arm around me like, how you feeling today, son? Like, and even if you asked me that, I would just be like, okay, I wouldn't really talk to him. But I think when we drive, especially when we're in LA, we're in the car all the time, we're able to sit together side by side, but because we're looking out in the windshield and we're not looking eye to eye, that kind of breaks the tension. That makes it a little bit more comfortable. And then honestly, most of our really good talks, throughout our life has been in the car on drives. So that was some of my favorite moments in the film that did make the cut. As well as, I think there's, because really my dad has done so much that we only really document this first half of his career. He had a whole other, him as a professor at UCLA,
Oh yeah.
the filmmakers that he's mentored, people like Justin Lin, a list of filmmakers that he's mentored over the years, as well as he built a whole, media arts center at the Japanese American National Museum, which I now am at. But I think he's done so much that it would have been, a 5-part series if we included everything.
And we can't thank him enough. So now it's playing at Sundance. Hopefully to catch more eyes. Are you working towards distribution through showing at Sundance and the festival circuit so that it can reach a wider audience?
Yeah, we're definitely, this is kicking off our festival run in the best way. I mean, it's such a privilege to be here. And it was really a dream to be here at Sundance. I actually attended Sundance for the first time in 2002 when my dad, the last film he directed, it was a short film, got premiered in 2002. And then one of my first films premiered here in 2008. And so it's really a full circle moment to be here with my dad with this film. And yeah, so we're hoping to have a robust film festival run, as well as a community impact campaign. I think this film, hopefully, it's been playing very well here in big theaters, but I also think this film can play in small theaters or in small groups. There's a scene in the film where we're showing one of my dad's films in a small theater, and that experience really, before this, I always thought the bigger the better, right? But I had a new appreciation for smaller venues because you can actually have really more intimate discussions afterwards. So
Love that.
that's something I'm really looking forward to with this film is, bringing it in, not just theaters, but, community centers, other places, schools, and actually having a good dialogue. Because I think while it's very personal, I think there's a lot of universal themes that people can project or relate and kind of entry points to the film.
Completely agree, wholeheartedly. It had me diving after watching it, looking into more of your dad's work and your work. I just checked out actually before we got going to kill some time. Started checking out your Yellow Brotherhood on your YouTube, and I saw that you had some of his other work there. And just I love that. And I do a lot of AAPI things here in the DC area where I'm based out of. And so I would love for, like, when we have our Heritage Months to have you come and just more of this work to show. And I think it's just such a powerful, inspiring film. And for you and your family to open your hearts and share your stories is just such a blessing for us to get that. And for you guys to have this to continue on for generations on your side. So thank you much for sharing your souls, man.
No, appreciate it. No, and I'm really glad to hear that. I do think, while it's a personal film, I really feel like I'm trying to represent, our generation, just, the culture we grew up in, different identity struggles, issues of being parents, with having aging parents, having aging parents and being young parents ourselves. So I'm really glad you were able to connect, and that just validates the reason why I made the film.
Oh, definitely, man. Yeah, and as men, the layers, because we're always so afraid to show our sensitive side, I guess, or soft side.
Yeah.
But it's so important because there's so many things we're going through right now.
No, I joke that, like, for men of color, for Asian men, like, it either takes a mental illness or some kind of drug or intoxication to get us talking honestly. And so hopefully, I think we could, I think slowly though, I think things like this, hopefully we'll start, opening up some spaces for people and men to articulate their feelings a little bit better.
I love that and completely agree. And I thank you for that. Just such a wonderful project. Thank you, Tad. Just a blessing. You're the man. I hope this continues to blow up. And as it does, when it gets distribution, if you can come back and we can, like, let the world know. And as you do more of your work, and man, I just love what y'all about. You got a good taste in music. You got a good label over there rocking with B-Rock. I was just loving all that. I'm not a Bay Area cat, but I got a lot of friends in the Bay Area. And I just love what you're doing. And this is just such an amazing, beautiful project. So thank you so much for your time, Tad.
All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
All right, everybody. That's Tadashi Nakamura, third act, playing at Sundance. Stay tuned. I'm going to have the links to everything third act so you can follow when that film hopefully is even wider available. Again, touring the festival circuit at Sundance. The amazing Tadashi Nakamura. I'm Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World. All right, there's a cut. Record. Let's go. Okay. And again, my apologies on my throat. I usually try to come with energy because as a fellow filmmaker, you know how it is when we trying to talk about our projects.
Right.
It's all about that energy. So
yeah.
Trying to bring it out of being COVID right now. So
all right.
Good. We're recording. All right, here we go. In a 1, 2, 3.
Pleasure chatting with you. Love to all my nerds who rule the world.
Yeah. Nerds rule the world.
Yes, we do.
Thanks. Nerds rule the world. Thank you.
I love the nerds ruling the world. So more power to you.
Patrick, what up, man? And yes, they do. Nerds rule the world, kid.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Awesome. Kuya P, nerds rule the world. Hello.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
Oh,
Nerds rule the world.
I got.
It's in the title of your show, like Nerds Rule the World. Like, I want more Black weirdos on screen, and I don't feel like we ever get to see that very much.
Thank you so much. Nerds do rule the world.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Nerds rule.
Love it.
It's your boy Kuya P. Nerds rule the world. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you.
do. They rule the world, all right.
Yes. Take care, Tony. Thank you, guys.